Good morning, everyone. So today we will start with our discussion of Indian Express, and there are some important news vis-a-vis the all the papers. And first, though this is a political news, but the larger significance of it that how much conversion benefits, and what is the stand of Supreme Court regarding conversion, or for that matter any other issues. So these are the things which we are supposed to analyze today, and in this analysis we will also look at the efficacy of the conversion in the overall uh, process. The second news which is relevant to GS paper 2 is decision fatigue and the spending in ministry. So there is the CAG report where the large the five ministries are, literally reaching their budget, spending their sanctioned amount, but in the smaller ministries, there are these problems. So that's why I have chosen the topic decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is something which refers to that when you take so many decisions at a time in a given day, then the overall efficacy of the decision making decreases. Second is the debate on freebies. You do repetitive, but I told you that it is in the development stage and there will be multiple viewpoints. So in this viewpoint, the author is trying to justify the culture of freebies, saying that it is very hard to analyze that any freebie is good freebie or bad freebie. So per se freebie is not bad, but the context, the situation that it creates can lead to some problems. Third is UGC autonomy. It says basically there is this news to analyze that what will be the impact of autonomy, and what are the process, because there is a draft guidelines which change the rules. So in this context there is this news of UGC autonomy is there. Fourth news is online gaming sector, whereby due to the impacts of money laundering by virtually offering the currency and such other issues, it can be a threat to internal security as well as the overall monetary scope, and the suicide can also increase. So it has a multiple significance, but for the purpose, because it was related with the regulation, that's why it is in the paper 3. Otherwise it has a multiple perspective to it. Fourth topic is based on law as an agent of social change. On the very first phase, you will see that there was an RSS chief says that law alone won't uplift Dalits, need to change the mindset. So in this context, we will analyze the implication of the law, and particularly the overall aspect of the law in creating a change in the society. Now, the fifth topic, though not that important, but as this was in the news, so we are supposed to see it. And this topic is related with the Rosetta Stone, where the Egyptian, not the government, but the larger online space is demanding from the British to return the stone, and they are saying that it tantamounts to cultural imperialism, that something which is of a particular country should be returned. That again Kohinoor debate in all these respects, all these years that we have been witnessing. So a new kind of this debate is also occurring on social media in Egypt, and it is being supported by many people. But on the other side, the contention is that though at that time the nation boundary were not fixed, and somehow it relates with the Alexander and Ptolemy empire, so it should remain with the British Museum. So that was the overall news which I found relevant as per the requirement and as per the demand of the UPSC in multiple prelims or mains context. So starting with the first topic, so there is this decision in 2021 when there was in PIL was filed by some individual which says that There are cases of religious conversion by hooks or by crooks. So to offset this, Supreme Court gave some guideline, and the guidelines were the SC said that people are free to choose their religion, and naturally it left out on the complaint or the failure that by hook and crook is not witnessed across the country. Further, SC said that people have a right under the constitution to profess, practice and propagate religion. Even Article 25, which we are all aware of, grants this right. So any person is the final judge of his choice or her choice of religion and who their life partner should be. So court cannot decide for someone that who is changing religion and under what circumstances it's changing religion. Religious faith is a part of fundamental right, and it can be seen in the context of privacy. The constitutional bench also said that earlier upheld inviolability of the right to privacy, equating it with the rights to life and dignity. So you see that these were the larger context, but as news is relevant, why? Because though largely in the political context, but this news is somehow related with the conversion. The AAP government and the minister of AAP government resigned over it. So this was the whole context. But that is not the case. The case is that what is the impact after conversion? Is it good or is it bad? Or what is the overall impact on the social empowerment when you convert your religion? So though it has been seen, and we are recently witnessing a case and which we have discussed in the previous class also, that the cultural moorings, that the cultural landscapes of a particular culture is brought in the other culture. And that's why we witness the phenomena like, caste in Muslims and in Christians across the country. So this has been one of the cases that no, it does not have a significant improvement on the empowerment scope, on the outlook of the other culture, or the equality when it is considered. And that's why reservation was accorded to Buddhists also. But at the same time, when people are converting to Christianity nowadays in Punjab, which is a bit frequent, so there is this study which also highlight that in such cases, even in Buddhism and even in Christianity, those people, those scheduled caste people who converted to other religions are becoming the social hierarchy, but at the same time they become assertive. And when they become assertive, it opens the tool or it opens the vista for new empowerment by way of assertion, by acting as a pressure group, by acting as a vote bank. So this was the case about the religious conversion. The second news, decision fatigue and the spending in the ministry. So you see that there is this, so on the very first phase, this is the news that big infra ministries push the paddle in capital spending in the first 5 months. So you see that there was a guideline by the Ministry of Finance that whatever amount you are accorded in the budget, that you have to spend it throughout the year. The last, though it is not written, the tendency is that they used to spend it in the last month so that they can get the next the new that it doesn't need to go waste, or the amount sanctioned increases in the next financial year. So in the last way they did is that they spend money a bit randomly and very hastily, and these were the lines, and because of that the quality of the money spent was not that good. So while CAG data shows that the high capex ministers are taking lead in the spending, several ministries with smaller outlays are lagging. 10 departments have utilized less than 10% of their allocated funds. This will force them to spend in the last few months, hurting the quality of the expenditure. And this is something called decision fatigue. That When you take too many decisions at the same time, the quality of your overall decision decreases. So to improve the quality of expenditure, Finance Ministry advised department to spread their spending throughout the year instead of bunching it at the end. That is called rush of expenditure. Particularly in closing months of the financial year shall be regarded as a breach of financial propriety and shall be avoided. Further, the financial advisors, the ministries department shall also adhere to the stipulated monthly division expenditure plan and the guideline issued in this regard by the budget division Department of Economic Affairs from time to time, and states that the guideline issued under the general finance rule by the budget division in the Union Ministry of Finance. So that was all about the overall that money was not spent. For example, the small, like all the ministries, railways, defense ministries, road and transport ministries, they increased their significant sum, but this was not true for the other ministry. Even chemical fertilizers also spent their sum. Now, on the editorial page, there was not much news within the city and elsewhere, and largely these news were of political nature. So this is the news in defense of the freebies. So here there are two important arguments that have been made, which was that Amartya Sen, John Reich and Amartya Sen have long argued that in case of famines, it is easier to prevent famine by raising income than by distributing food in kind. Cash transfers also have other advantage. For some, cash transfer avoid paternalism and give greater agency to the recipient. Lastly, a developed welfare state relies on cash transfers in the form of unemployment insurance, and India already uses cash transfer for old age pension. So what they are saying is that when you give freebies, see, basically cash can be also considered as a form of freebie. So when you give freebies, so what exactly happens is that it can be used in multiple way by the recipient, and that's why saying that agency is not being distorted. You have the choices, and particularly if you are giving them in forms of some food or such other issues, then in this case it creates distortions, because you have to purchase or you have to spend the money on the said mentioned purpose. So the choice is not there, and you depend upon the state, as state is acting as paternalistic state. So this was about the first part. Now further they argue that good distinction between good policy and bad policy is not clear, and it cannot be completely compartmentalized, but this decision must be made on case to case basis. So, and they are saying that in this case election is an important instrument and mechanism where there is a distinction between good and bad can be clearly established. So voters have the authority to decide which policies and find both in their own interest and furthering the common good. You see, the problem with any of such article is that largely they will harp upon one-sided view. So to offset such issues, what we generally do is that we give editorial classes where the multiple viewpoint can be presented and can be understood. This is one side of the story, but there are multiple sides also. See, people do have a myopic vision. The vision, what is, we will not think about as a human that, what will happen in the future. What is happening now, how it is benefiting us, is what people are questioning. For example, LPG was a reform and it was necessitated by the crisis that we were witnessing. In fact, the crisis started its genesis way back in 1970s, but it was the populism which forced the government to go for more socialistic measures. For example, in 1970s, you know that many of the East Asian countries had took the part of the takeoff stage, particularly Tiger Asian countries or East Asian countries. So they developed in this path, but India started in some contention 20 years too late. So mechanism, election as a mechanism can never guarantee that some goods are allowed or not. For example, if say suppose that the issues that we are witnessing in Kerala, and particularly there will be a report on this and there will be an article on this in the near future, Madhav Gardigal report, where the Western Ghats are being used as a commercial tool vehicle to derive more advantage, and it is an issue which is very near to the people. So if any government comes and say, okay, we will convert the Western Ghat into the agricultural zone and such other issues, so at nearly it will benefit most of the people, and the activism and the activists, particularly environmentalist activists, are too few, because you see the significant number of farmers, they constitute a majority, and this is what we are witnessing with the case of farm subsidies. That farming is an issue where people are forcing the government to give more and more subsidy on fertilizer and such other electricity and such other issues, and it decides the shape and discourse of the politics. But the role of a leader, as in a particular role of a politician as a leader, is to curtail such tendencies. So in such case, what can be good for a time may necessarily cannot be good for the future. This was the issues that was being raised by the overall. The article presented one side of view, but it can be analyzed in a multiple perspective. Then there is this article that UGC autonomy, that UGC is creating a new kind of mechanism where there are significant changes in the overall procedures. But you see that in some contention, autonomy pertains to is that it will give the university greater freedom to decide the course and to shape its degree. It will be not dependent upon the university, and in this context, university can diversify its role in more core areas. So that's why the purpose of UGC autonomy is an issue, but at the same time it remains a contemporaneous issue from the perspective of many other. What they are focusing, or what they are highlighting, is the point that the moment autonomy is provided to university, it can decide its fee and such other issues. Largely it is a content, or it is a shift toward privatization. So the moment university will privatize, there will be increment in fees and such other associated cost, which will result in the education, which will result in education limited to a certain section. So this is the issue which is generating a kind of lot of passion, UGC autonomy. Even some professors are protesting against it, because they are saying that if you will provide autonomy, then it will be more selective approach, because education will not be in everybody's hand. Now, so what are the provisions? So concept of autonomous college, UGC is providing by autonomous college, which are supposed to be a degree granting institute of higher education in India. One. So in this case, a standing committee will examine the application of the college for the conferment of an autonomous status. Approval rejection letter may be issued on the basis of decision of the standing committee. The decision may be by the ratification by the committee, subsequently not tied to a larger university. Further, if there will be a good NAAC rating, and if there will be a 10-year grade A, then it will be the agency that it will be automatically extended, and this for technical university is 675. Now, once the amended regulations are approved, college will have a period of 15 years of an autonomous unit for a stretch, which was 10 years right now, pending the reviews. So, they created a situation or an institution where the frequent visit is not there. And if they will maintain good accreditation rating, then further they can be stretched up to 15 years, and it will just a standing committee will decide the overall discourse. Now, this is an important article, regulation for the online gaming, and so basically the issue is that, IT industries or particularly IT sector, where people are buying or not buying, playing online games, online gambling. So it tandamounts to, or it just leads to gambling where there is no quality control. And you have seen that ED raided many organizations or many companies in this context, and they said that it tandamounts to hoarding by nearly 47 crore or 111 crore or 120 crore in different batches, and different rates were being shifted to China. So you see that it is leading to transfer, it is leading to money laundering, the online gambling. But the problem is that the state does not have the capacity to control it. So because they cannot block any application per se. So there was demand by the various organizations and the states also that a central nodal agency or central regulatory body should be created, clearly defining the skills and what game of the skills are, and so that the money laundering can be prevented. This was the part of it. So now the issue is that you see that blocking certain apps and concerns of the online gaming with respect to money, that who is earning money and what the skills are requirement, was not, I wouldn't say go far as say that it is under the preview state government. Yes, it is under the preview state government. They cannot control it because of the technical gaps. That's why they requested the center to form a central regulatory body which will control such tendencies in case of India. Now, the next is that what is the size of market? So this can exceed 1.5 billion by 2022, and it is supposed to reach 5 billion by 25. Industry and the country is growing at the compound annual growth rate of 38% between 2017 to 2020, as opposed to 8% in China and 10% in the USA. It is expected to grow at a 15% to reach 153 billion by 2024. India percentage of new paying users in gaming has been the fastest growing in the world for 2 consecutive years, 40% in 2020 and 50% in 2022 to 21. So according to Ernest Y report, transaction based game revenues grew by 26%, with the number of paying games increased by 70% to 80 million in 2020 to 95 million in 2021. So these are the important data which you are supposed to remember for the perspective of the mains examination. But you see that we historically we have been a country of gamblers. From Mahabharata to any time we can say that we have been gambling quite a lot. So now in this case we are growing at a fastest rate, and particularly the sad part is that it is being promoted by the celebrities also, Khelo, MPL and such the ratios are there that people are. But you see that regulation was not there, and any organization cannot survive or anything, if you leave it to the market regulation, then there can be problem. That's why it is imperative that some kind of regulation should be there. Now, so such a regulation, so under the MIT, it is decided that MIT will be agency supported by various agencies for regulating the game. Further, if any platform, be it foreign or be it Indian, the new user, it has to be enacted as a legal entity incorporated under the Indian laws. So reporting under, the reporting entity should be under the PMLA Act will be required to report suspicious transactions to the Financial Intelligence Unit India, and it's the content. So most category of the okay, that is the part. Okay, yes, the bit shifted. Now, fine, no issues. So you see that this was the case, that anything cannot be. Yes, there was one more provision which was that if it is not conducting or creating transactions in any kind, then it is free. will not come under the mighty or regulatory body. So this was all about this news. Now, again returning to the page 1. So you see that what they are saying, that we need to change the mindset. And while changing the mindset, it is important that we have to understand. Yes, RSS chief says law alone won't uplift Dalit, needs to change the mindset. Now, casteism an issue which is largely based on mindset. So in this case, what can be done? What is important, where it is important to understand that mindset is coming from the religion and overall society. And we talk about the law as an agent for social change. So you see that it has some inherent limitations because it is exterior to us, it is a kind of, it is not flowing organically. So that's why even with so many enactments of the law, caste is still prevailing in India. So what are the limitations of the law as an agent of social change, and more importantly, what is the ethical imperative of the social morality and how it is still controlling the caste. So you see, here are the points, that an essential feature of social morality is that it serves as a social function. It has its roots in the requirement of the social life. The rules of social morality is structured social interaction. Social morality generally allow us to live in the cooperative, mutual, beneficial and social relation. So you see, these are the part that is relevant with our daily life, that the situation are not changing because we are thinking of caste as an institution based on the precepts of social life and social morality. And that's why even after urbanization, even after modernization, structured social interaction remains when it comes to the private life like marriages. Further, social morality is a set of rules that allows us to live well together and that require our obedience. So if this obedience will not be there, there can be problem. And what we are witnessing in the forms of caste violence, that any kind of degradation and delinquency is punished. For this, social morality is comprised of rules that both provide the condition for the successful pursuit of these ideas, but also simultaneously constraining our choice of how to pursue them. Even after the enactment of Triple Talaq Bill, many people, many women are apprehensive of taking it because of the fear that what will society say. So in this case, and this is true for the love marriages also, where the caste based change can be witnessed. So these are the issues which is creating a problem in pursuance of the law as in limitations of a law as an agent for the social change. The third point is that in every society, social morality generally is not used as a coordinating function, rather it is used as the constituent of the society, has independent reasons to follow the social morality. And in our case, it is religion. It is the internalization of the religion and the religious prospects that something are limited to or completely reserved for some particular caste. And even that was existing previously, that how the caste was completely based by the occupation, though it has changed. But again, watching the data of the priest and the manual scavengers can point in the different directions. Even when some other caste people are appointed as priests, there is no legitimacy to it. So these are the reasons that social morality is completely dominating over the law as an agent of the change. Now, again, the Rosetta issues, basically it is an Egyptian stone where there are inscriptions on it, hieroglyphy, where hieroglyphic writing was the images and such other issues were used, and it is to describe the overall evolution and the lifestyle in Egypt at that time. But you see that it is in the UK museum and it attracts a lot of visitors. So Egyptians are asking them to return the stone, but the UK are saying that it is of the 5th century and largely it pertains or relates with the Alexander and Ptolemy Empire. So somehow it is also part of our culture. So this has been designated as cultural imperialism. But what is important is that you just remember the name, probably, and sometimes as a bouncer these questions may come, but as such there is no significance. What is significant is we can talk about the cultural imperialism. That is all for today. Okay, on that note, our classes for today, discussion for Indian Express today is finished, and we will resume the session tomorrow. Okay, thank you.